Hello, folks. I've got the giggling Gerties in the background there. So, are you wondering if Airbnbs are hot? The answer is yes, but you'll find out more here in just a moment. We're also going to talk about a little bit of self storage. And by the way, thank you to all our veterans. We'll be right back.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, that cut off quick.
And I like that everything's red, white, and blue for Veterans Day.
Absolutely, and that Bill could join us even in his exotic location.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Exotic location. So I can tell you, I was over here exotically trimming the hedges, and
That's a little more information than I need, Bill.
and I stepped right on a fire ant mound. So
Ouch.
now both ankles look like I have had a bunch of needles poked in them.
Because you probably did.
Yeah, those things will. By the way, I'm not a very good dancer, but I was dancing up a storm there in the yard.
I hate when that happens. And we do want to congratulate or thank, actually, our veterans. We have one right here in the office, Dion Ellis. Our accountant is a veteran.
Yes. Yep. So thank you for your service.
Yes, big time.
Absolutely.
We wouldn't be here.
All right, so thank you guys, folks, ladies as well, for joining us on the Real Estate Investor Show. Hard money for real estate investors. We are Carolina Capital Management. We are lenders in the Southeast for real estate investors. If you are interested in borrowing money, go to carolinahardmoney.com. Click on the Apply Now tab. If you're an investor looking for passive returns, click on the Accredited Investor tab. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, hit the bell. And don't forget about Wednesdays with Wendy. Wendy donates 30 minutes of her very important time each Wednesday to talk to anything to anyone about real estate.
That's right.
So, get on the calendar. She's usually booked out about 2 months in advance.
Yeah, we're into the second week in January at this point.
Mm-hmm.
All I have to say is I do better without the teleprompter.
I'll tell you what, it's we can see you looking at you in your glasses.
It's like I see you looking at me, looking at you, looking at me. Yeah.
Well, at least we can't get enough of us.
Yeah. That's amazing. So you remembered all of that in your head?
Yes.
You didn't have the little teleprompter running on your computer?
The teleprompter is at the office.
That's right.
I'm not at the office.
Wow. You know what it is, Bill? It's a week of relaxation has cleared your brain fog, and now you can think. How awesome is that?
Yay. And oh yeah, by the way, we do have a comment section on the right side or underneath your screen, depending on the platform you're viewing us from. So you can ask a question anytime. We may or may not answer it.
No, we will.
Yeah, we will. But yeah, we wanted to talk about a couple things, self-storage, and kind of highlight a few things that either learned recently or maybe that we think that is worth passing along, as well as Airbnbs, so short-term rentals, and then shameless plug, we have a long-term rental program that we can do single-family loans on 30-year AM rates starting as low as 3.75.
Yeah, maybe.
Most people are getting between 4.2 and 4.5. But yeah, we would love to talk to you about that.
And the best part of that is it's a portfolio option. So if you've got multiple properties, they can all go into
we can do
one loan.
We can do onesie twosies. We can do portfolios. We can do multifamily up to 50 doors, which it's a beautiful product because multifamily under 50 doors
is hard to find.
Is some of the hardest financing to find.
Yeah.
And you usually have to go to a credit union or some kind of local bank where they're going to give you a 20-year AM. Yes, you're going to get a good rate, but you're going to get a 20-year AM. Our program is a fully amortizing 30-year product on small balance or small size multifamily. So we're doing one right now. I think it's 24 doors, and it's a 4.2 rate at a 30-year AM. I mean,
it's getting cash out.
And it's a cash out. So,
which is really nice.
75% LTV.
Yeah. And looky there. Is Jay Connor really on the horn here?
He
Our
said,
dear, wonderful friend.
Where is Bill? Bill, where are you?
It's like Waldo.
I'm in Inglewood, Florida.
Which is near Sarasota.
Yep. No.
Right?
No, it's near Fort Myers.
Okay. Well, you need to explain.
Okay, it's south of Tampa, north of Fort Myers.
Is it near some water?
Just a little. Just a little. Okay, I think, oh, look, he's giving us a close-up and personal view.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty. I can see your boat out there.
Yeah, it misses me, so let's hurry up with this show.
Yeah, yeah. You got
Scott,
stuff to do, right?
Scott said, can you say what the minimum investment is? Okay. Oh, for the long-term stuff?
Yes.
The long-term, basically, it's a minimum credit score of 680 and a minimum loan amount of $75,000 for single family, a minimum loan amount of $250,000 for multifamily, and then basically max LTV of 80%. Cash out is 75%.
Yeah, and I think he was thinking maybe it was the fund that was doing these loans. It is not the fund. We are doing this with a different company, actually.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So it's not anything that we can lend on, but we are doing really well in the fund, and have had a great year, and it's continuing to go. And we're always looking for more money to put in the fund because we've got a lot of loans out there to place.
Yeah, I mean, I was just looking at it between now and the end of the year, we have in excess of $12 million just in our pipeline to close between
That's right.
now and the end of the year.
That's right. And we don't have $12 million to do it yet, so help us out, y'all.
Okay, that said, let me make this legal. You must be an accredited investor. Please read the PPM. This is not an offer to solicit any money whatsoever. Your mileage may vary.
Yeah. We don't want your money. Just read the PPM.
And we can get you one pretty easily by going online to carolinahardmoney.com, click the investor tab, and you can sign up for the PPM right there.
There you go.
Emailed right over to you.
Well, let's talk about
breaking news.
Breaking news. Thank you, Bill.
Yeah.
No
you
problem.
deal machine.
Yeah, I'm doing a shameless free plug for our friends over at Deal Machine.
Yeah, awesome stuff.
Like their hats.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
But
and they do
have,
good business.
They have a great program to help you find properties that are available. Okay.
Yeah.
So a couple of things. The supply of affordable homes jumped 13% year over year. And this is as of the third quarter. This was prompted by the end of the forbearance programs, which probably means most of these folks that were in forbearance now have their home up for sale because they can't make it up. And that's the difference between this go round and 2008. Values on these homes keep going up. So
right.
They're not necessarily underwater. They just can't catch up. And unless they can find a modification, which will take those payments and just add them to the end, all their payments are due at once. Right, Jonathan?
What's to now? Everyone looks at it differently, but what's to motivate the holder of that loan to do a modification when the value is there on the property? So basically, what's to motivate the lender to say, I'll modify your loan, help you out here, get this back on track for you, as opposed to say sell the house and we, you walk away with some money and we get all of our money.
Right. And then those folks are going to become renters because
Exactly.
they've got a forbearance on their mortgage now, and qualifying for a new mortgage might be a little bit tougher because they have that kind of a blemish on their mortgage.
Well, I mean, yeah, they've missed payments and all this stuff. I mean, yeah, it'll eventually hit their credit and, it'll be on there. So then you have you have a larger pool of people
13% more of people looking for houses to rent.
I almost said people wanting to rent, and I apologize. People forced
to rent.
Yeah.
Well, the good news is they're building plenty of apartment complexes.
They sure are.
So what was that you said? I'm glad you brought that up, Bill, because Jonathan was just quoting us some information yesterday that he heard about, everybody's thinking that we've got a few years left, but
they're thinking that we're, undersupplied, whether that's current inventory or inventory in progress. And I wish I could remember the lady's name. I can't. She's basically saying that's not true. The inventory that we have available plus the inventory that is in current production is actually in excess of the absorption ability that we currently have. So, or will have.
I don't believe that because we've gotten over 1 million new people into the country just in this past 8 months.
Yeah. Again,
that's a true statement. That's hard. That's hard to fight right there.
Yeah, I mean that's not a false. I don't think that's a false statement. But yeah, I mean there are more people. It's the people who are able to. It's twofold. It's to fill in those rentals. Because I guess if we're overbuilding, what she's saying perhaps overbuilding on A-class multifamily, there's going to be
there.
Of those million people that are added, how many of those are going to go into A-class top of the rents facilities?
Right.
Probably. I mean, probably not most of them. So we could be overbuilding, oversaturated on that front. The one that I wanted to read in more detail is, she's also saying on the single family side as well, which is a harder pill for me to swallow because I'm like, man, is that true? Now, would I say that it's oversaturated potentially for first-time home buyers? No. Is it oversaturated for people who are looking for like their second, third, or fourth home? I can maybe agree with that a little bit more, but on the first-time home buyer or the people downsizing, that's hard to understand.
Yeah, and that's the market that's growing the most, according to data that Barry Habib, I don't know if you follow him, that he's put out. He's showing that the average age of people buying a house is 33. 33 years ago, we had one of the highest birth rates.
The millennials.
And and it continues to grow over the next 3 to 4 years.
Well, most millennials are, right around that age, probably between, I think at this point, 29, 28 and up. They're getting into that, where they want that house, that perhaps that family, if not, at least a dog or two where they can run around.
Yeah. So there's good points on both sides that they're making, and who really knows?
Well, the only
God.
Yeah, the only thing that and I apologize, I can't remember this woman's name. She accurately called the top of the market in 2005. And that's what she's famous for, or, what made her famous. So, when someone accurately calls something like that, and then they say, hey, here's the reasons why we're over in overproduction of single family and multifamily, then, it perks up your ears. You want to listen.
Yeah. She's like a Nostradamus. We'll see.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people making a lot of speculation, and it's just it's such an odd situation that we're in to begin with. It's hard to see what's really going to happen.
You go outside every day and say it's going to rain. One day you're going to be right.
That's right. That's exactly right. And then there's, we're talking about oversaturation of that market, and other things that have popped up and grown like crazy is, the Airbnb market. Just in.
We'll talk about that in just a minute. Let's finish up with some of this breaking news here, and then we'll jump into a couple of real estate topics. 30-year fixed this week, 3.34% was the average.
Woo, jumped.
Yeah, a little bit, but that's an average. So that's not what the Fannie Freddie is, but it is a little bit higher, which it needs to be. I mean, inflation hit a 30-year high of 8%. 8%. Wages went up, but they only went up by 6%. So wages are still going backwards.
And no one's working.
Yeah. So the accessory dwelling units, everybody knows what those are, right? The ADUs, the mother-in-law suites.
Yeah. She sheds. Yeah.
They can increase the value of your property by up to 35%, that a study was showing recently. But here's kind of the drag on that. It's costing you an average of $260 a square foot to build one of those.
Woo!
So if you don't already have a detached garage with an extra story on it that you can just redo, it costs quite a bit of money, and I don't know that you're going to get your total investment out of it. If you're using it for cash flow, then you can probably get your money's worth out of it. But if you're using it for, like I said, a mother-in-law suite, that 35% to the value is not going to really make any difference. Sure.
Well, most people don't have that money just sitting there to build it. They have to cash, refinance and cash out some of the equity in their home to do that. Right. Yeah.
But my point is, you could probably take that money and, the average is around $180,000. How much can you invest that? Take that money and invest it in an actual rental property and get a better return than putting the dwelling in your own property.
Well, I disagree with the cost to build that. 260 square foot is ridiculous.
That's the national average.
In California, maybe. But,
well, you're averaging all the nations.
Yeah.
And most of these units are in your bigger cities. Because they need there's a lack of space, and they want affordable housing, so to speak, inside of the major cities.
Yeah. Well, even in Charlotte, they're encouraging you to add that additional dwelling unit. They're encouraging that within the city of Charlotte, changing the zoning laws so that so everybody's basically a multifamily lot, so that you can add that dwelling on there now. They're really encouraging that. So if they're doing that in Charlotte, I'm sure they're doing that elsewhere.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good time to talk about Airbnb. So if you're going to do it as a long-term rental, again, you might not get as much money out of it as you like if you're going to build it. But if you can Airbnb it, if you're in a nice part of town that's easily accessible to other areas that people would like to go to, Airbnb might be a nice solution to that dwelling.
For sure. No, and build, I agree with you. I mean, it's everyone's preference, I suppose. I tend to try to keep as many people and strangers out of my yard as possible. So, adding that would not be as desirable for me as to investing it into a separate investment. But sure. Mindy would probably do that.
Well, I'm on 15 acres, so if they're in my yard, I won't know it.
There you go.
It's fine with me. And I've got a friend out of Waco, Texas, that was making this was 6 years ago, making $7,000 a month out of her backyard.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's pretty decent income.
Oh yeah,
off of nothing, which was kind of cool. But Short-term rentals are exploding. Like, everybody's heard of it now. Everybody wants to dip in and try it. So certain markets are really becoming saturated. Dallas is feeling saturated. Even certain spots in downtown Charlotte is saturated. Nashville, most of like, what's that Tennessee town that everybody goes to near Dollywood?
Pigeon Forge.
Pigeon Forge is loaded up. So a lot of the destinations are kind of feeling the crowd from short-term rentals. In fact, I'm on a women's short-term rental group on Facebook, and everybody's talking about how their bookings are down. Really since the beginning of October, which they're always a little slower during the winter times anyway, but they're substantially down. And we were really trying to figure out why. What is it that's making that difference? And of course, an overabundance is definitely part of it. But are people not traveling as much as they were? They're kind of getting over the feeling of being, barricaded in their homes for so long.
If you can get a flight.
Yeah. Traveling's more and more difficult. Maybe the government's not giving out all the money they were before, so they don't have the expendable income.
So good motivator for people to keep those, politicians in office.
Yeah.
We'll vote for you. Just promise us more money.
Give us more money.
Yeah.
And then too, a lot of people who were working at home, their offices are opening back up. So maybe they don't have the ability to travel as much as they did previously. So all of that might have something to do with it. But
one of the because I don't have an Airbnb brain. That's not my thing. When I think about that, like all this oversaturation of Airbnbs, everyone wanting to do it. And then, like you said, like Pigeon Forge, then I think about the service industry that's in those places. And then most of those people who work in that service industry rent, and now are rents artificially climbing in those areas because the inventory for long-term rentals is lower because everyone wants to short-term rent it.
Yeah.
How does that affect the long-term side and the inventory for rentals for people who need rentals in those areas?
Well, you can see that Myrtle Beach has been a great example of that for a long time because, those hot destinations have been doing short-term rentals for a long time.
Yeah.
So anybody who lives down there, I know people that have been investors in those areas, and they were specifically looking for off the beaten trail apartments, condos, small houses that they could buy and rehab and rent to the workers that were there.
Yeah.
And had been doing very, very well until COVID hit and all those workers were laid off.
Yep.
And, they ended up either losing their houses or having to rent them long term to different people. So it's kind of starting back up again. But it's, when one thing drops off, others will start to fill in. So it might be artificially raised closer to the beach.
In certain areas. Yeah.
We should talk about that too, real quick. The two differences in short-term rentals, one being a destination rental where it's going to be at a vacation area, and then the other one is really short-term for contract workers, nurses, people that are installing gigantic pieces of equipment in hospitals and power plants and that type of thing, and they're going to be there for 2 or 3 months at a time. I think the ones that aren't destinations are probably the ones that are going to have the most consistent occupancy versus the destination areas.
What do you think?
Yeah, well, just like we like to be in the recession-resistant business of lending, an affordable housing in an affordable housing market. I like to offer Airbnbs in an area that is, close to hospitals, family reunions, weddings, funerals, sports teams.
The buy-in cost is
lower. Much lower.
Is lower. So already there's more, you can play with more houses,
That's
buy
right.
more houses.
And my rent rates are real similar to what you're going to get at a hotel. But a hotel, you get one room. With my house, you're going to get 2 or 3 or whatever, whatever it is you're looking for. So you're going to get more room. And it is more consistent. I mean, we don't, we're not slammed.
You don't have big seasonal dips.
That's
and
exactly
highs.
right. It stays consistent throughout. Now, I have seen really in October and November into November, slower bookings than we've had in quite some time. It's not empty, but we're half full.
That's interesting. And I know you're in that women's mastermind. What are you all attributing that to, or the speculation behind it?
That's what we don't know. We're really trying to figure that out. And I think even airlines have kind of felt that too, where they're, they really started building their business back up again. And now it's kind of in a, just leveling out a little bit. And I think that's really what it is. We still have, like where we are in our small town, I still have some traveling work crews, but I don't have the number of work crews this year that I had last year.
Yeah.
So I think that because of COVID, I had more because they were shut down and they needed to, it was a great time for them to do upgrades and things like that. So I think that made a huge difference. Sports teams, that's all still really strong, especially here in the Rock Hill market.
Yeah, in the growing market, nonetheless, there's infrastructure, there's new construction, there's, the new Panthers practice stadium, all that good stuff.
But according to the permits, like here in Rock Hill, our small little town of Rock Hill, they require permits. We have 1/3 more short-term rentals this year than we had last year at this time. So the market's starting to really get
that
saturated.
Right there, that tells me, slower bookings is because people have more options.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. Which, the way it should be in a good economy. But a better economy would be that they'd continue to grow.
Unfortunately, we're not going to have time to talk about self-storage because
the time did fly.
Out of time, but we'll queue that up for maybe the next
week
to talk about
it.
We
will be talking about it on our Sonrisers
all right,
meeting tomorrow.
Talk about Sonrisers.
So Sonrisers is a faith-based group that we've been, it's a real estate group, and we have been meeting for 19 years every Friday morning, beginning at 7:30 a.m. on Zoom, going through for an hour. And we have 50 to 70 people on that meeting, and they're from all over the country now. It's really, really a great way to meet other people and just talk about real estate.
Yep,
it's really awesome.
And also on the self-storage stuff, just feel free to steal my idea. I thought about having a self-storage company where there was one, maybe 2 people there on hand that could help you load and unload your stuff, and you'd call it selfish storage.
But he'll be here all week, folks.
If you want to get the link to Sonrisers, can they email you and just say I'd like
Absolutely. They can also go to the Sonrisers Facebook page, and Sonrisers is spelled Sonriser. It's SON, not SUN. So the Sonrisers Facebook page, if they do a search on that, the link is on there as well.
All right, perfect. All right, folks, thank you so much for joining us on the Real Estate Investor Show, Hard Money for Real Estate Investors. We are Carolina Hard Money. Oh, and Carolina Capital Management. We are lenders in the Southeast for real estate investors. Go to carolinahardmoney.com if you're looking to borrow some money, and click on the Apply Now tab. If you're an investor looking for passive returns, go to the Investor tab. It's called the Accredited Investor tab. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, hit the bell, and don't forget about Wednesdays with Wendy.